Hello. Welcome back to the Elyse DeLucci Show, episode 108. How are you doing? Oh my God, fact of the day. Let's just get right into it. Did you ever wonder why spam was called spam? I did. I don't know why. I was in the supermarket the other day and they had spam on sale. And I just thought, that still exists? Who's buying that? Who? And I looked it up. Spam is called spam because it's for spiced ham. You know what? I didn't also realize that they invented spam because in World War II, they needed the soldiers to have some sort of protein that would, not be perishable. So that's the reason for spam. And let me tell you something. I ran into my ex-husband it was a while ago. It was like a year ago. I didn't run in. I think we were maybe doing like the child exchange or something. I don't know. But he had stopped at the supermarket, and I looked in the supermarket, and he had a little block of Hormel ham. And I said, "What are you doing with that?" And he said, "Oh, he was like making it like a carbonara or something." And I was like, "With Hormel ham? Who am I to judge?" And by the way, and we really shouldn't judge because there's a huge article in the New York Times from last weekend about the millennials and how much they are financially struggling. And I can't even begin to tell you people. I mean, you're in the supermarkets, but if you don't live in the city, let me tell you something. I went to get ice cream the other day and it was $13 a cone. $13. You know what? You could keep it. What does that cost you? 20 cents? When I was a kid, ice cream was from the truck was $1. My boyfriend told me when he was a kid, it was like 50 cents. And this wasn't out of the truck. This was at, one of these gourmet stores. But $13 for a cone? No wonder why every person is saying that they have no money. So you know what? I'm not judging if you're buying ham, spam, Hormel, whatever the hell you're doing, instead of, what is it? What is the ham that you make the carbonara? I don't even know. Forget it. Anyway, moving right along. Did I tell you I made a lemon blackberry pound cake? I feel like that sounds so fancy. It really was a lemon pound cake. And I decided, and it called for sour cream. I didn't have sour cream, so I replaced it with Greek yogurt because you could do that replacement. And it said if you wanted to put like blueberries, optional. I didn't have blueberries, so I put blackberries. And here's the thing. It was okay. It sounds fancier than it was. So I'm not sharing the recipe. There's no point. I'm going to do it again because I like the idea of a lemon blackberry pound cake. For some reason, when I order my groceries on Instacart, if they don't have something in stock, excuse me, if they don't have something in stock, you could note refund my money. But sometimes you get these fugazi shoppers and they just decide to, I don't know, replace things on their own. So sometimes I'll put blueberries or strawberries and they'll send me blackberries. What the hell am I doing with blackberries? I mean, am I British? I mean, I guess kind of in some ways by default, the only maybe British person by default that has this accent. But I do get blackberries kind of often because of the Instacart shoppers. And I like them. I do, sometimes they're a little taut. So I could make blackberry jam, but I never have enough to quite do that. So I thought, let me throw it into a pound cake. Let me be like good old Barefoot, That's something Barefoot would make, right? Ina Garden. By the way, she lives in an absolutely fabulous apartment building. I think it's in the East 70s. I think it's like East 77th or something, or maybe it's East 76th. But I was walking by years ago with a friend. And he's gay, and of course, not okay. And not to say because you're only Ina fans if you're gay, but the gays, they love Ina, and I don't blame them. I also love Ina, but I'm also probably a lady that has that's really I'm probably a drag queen that's probably masked as like a atomically real woman. But anyway, he said, "Psst, hey Elyse," and I said, "What?" And he said, "Ina lives here," and I was like, "Ooh." Ina Garden. And she lives on Buell Lane in East Hampton. I mean, I'm so, you know what, Ina, I don't even, I don't know why I just said what your street was. I don't even know how I know that, but I do. Friends in the business, you know what I'm saying? But but her apartment building on the Upper East Side is a beautiful apartment building. So Natch, when I was looking to buy my apartment, I obviously was like, I'm only buying in Ina's building. Not because I am some rabid fan, because it has like a Tudor look. I love the look of Tudors. I love like the dark architecture. I just love it. I don't like being in an apartment and it's dark because I wound up buying an apartment that not in the building, by the way. I could only afford nothing in her apartment building. That's what I was able to afford in the Barefoot's apartment building in Manhattan. But when I wound up buying my apartment, if you're watching on YouTube, it looks like because I film obviously from my living room. Um, Elyse, it looks like my apartment is light, but it's not. It doesn't really have a lot of light, and because my inherent style is a la Winter Bunny, I have a lot of dark colors and all that. So, eh, I still wound up getting a dark apartment, is basically what I'm telling you. I mean, you can't have it all. My boyfriend and I were driving around the city the other day, the weekend, and he was like, "Oh my God, I love Manhattan when, in the summer when nobody's around." And I was like, "Really? I love it too. But you know what I love more? Being at the beach. Thank you. Being at the beach. But I do love an empty city." And he was like pointing out buildings and apartment buildings that he liked because that's what every New Yorker does. Like, who needs porn when you can have real estate porn? You know what I'm saying? And I said to him, I was like, it's funny. I said, when I feel like when you go and buy an apartment, like you start like hacking things off the list, like once you realize what your budget is and what your money can actually get um, in real estate. And I was like, it's kind of like guys, like you kind of like tall, dark, and handsome. Definitely a multimillionaire, maybe baby billionaire. Definitely a yacht. Definitely a few summer houses. In all the South fancies, south of France, south of Italy. You know, Florida, and I said, and then you realize you're not going to get that, so you're like, nah, I'll settle. You know what? You know what sounds good right now? A New York sanitation worker pension. That sounds gorgeous. Like you know how we do that kind of settling, us ladies. It's the same thing with the New York real estate. So of course I was like, I want a backyard. I want 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, washer and dryer, laundry. I mean, hilarious. Like I got none of that. Not only did I get none of that, I also got a dark apartment with I got a sliver of sky. Like in true Barbara Streisand, a piece of sky. What is the song where she said a piece of sky? What song is that? I don't know. Anyway, moving right along. I got the creepiest message on Facebook, or no, not Facebook, because I don't really use Facebook. I got the creepiest message on Instagram. You're gonna die. This guy emails me. See, this is exactly why you have to be careful what you put on the web. This total stranger messages me, and first of all, he had a big following. He had like, I don't know, like 900,000 followers or something. Good for you. So he messages me and he says, "Hey, Elise," he said, "we don't know each other, but I found you on TikTok and I, um, I was looking for Italian American TikTok creators or Instagram creators because I'm trying to film, wait for this. You're really going to die. I'm trying to film a reality show. And the concept of my show is that I live with a family, an Italian American family, for a couple weeks and I soak up the culture. Would you be open to this?" You want to live with me? First of all, you're a freaking complete stranger. Even if we were friends, I wouldn't have you sleep over for 2 weeks. I'd be like, look, 2 nights is fine. And then I'm moving you over to the plaza. I mean, and no, I don't really send my friends to plaza, but you know what I'm saying? What foot the bill? Yeah, complete stranger is finding Italian American social media. Oh, according to him, he is locating Italian American social media creators so he can move in with them. First of all, he'll move in. He'll never move the hell out. And two, what are you, the social media killer? God forbid I say TikTok killer, and then you get a lawsuit slapped on your front door. But and that's what he says. That's what he said. First of all, I'm reading this to my boyfriend, and the both of us, you know how Italians are. The both of us were like, this guy's a serial killer to the degree. Like this guy's not trying to film a reality show. He's Ted Bundy. Like he's like the Craigslist killer. He's worse. He's worse. Like that's the lie. That's the lie he tells us, right? That's the lie he tells us. I'm filming a little reality show and I have 900,000 followers. And I just, I'm a big fan. So I just thought maybe it's like Yeah. Who the fuck you? Go ahead. Go message every Italian American social media person because you're going to see the real from the fake real fast, buddy. Because the real Italians, they're going to be like, okay, now we get an extra deadbolt on the door. Okay. Because now I get a door and then another door and then bolt, 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 little door lock. Because now you think like there's a crazy person on the loose. Maybe the faux Italians, they might say, sure, come on over. Never, never. And I want to say something. I think that this is an important segue-ish, but same topic. I think this is an important time out. Okay, I don't know why. Okay, I'm like rubbing my nose. This is so not professional. I don't know why my nose is running. Like I hope it's not monkeypox. Okay, I'm knock on wood. I got wood right here. Okay. No, I haven't been exposed to monkeypox, but I did hear that it gets transmitted mostly in the gay communities, gay men, sexually transmitted. I don't know if that's true or not. I've got to look into it. Anyway, how to have a sip of coffee. So I think it's an important thing to talk to kids about. I have to talk to my kids about it. That they know not to talk to strangers and all that kind of stuff. But they know like not to engage with people online. They do know that even though they're 7 and 6. But oh my God, 8 and 6. Oy, oy, oy. You see what happens when you're a mother? You're so tired, you get your own kid's age just mixed up. How old your kid? 7? No, mommy, I'm 8. Oh, yes, you're 8. What's your name again? Anyway, so I have to tell them that as they get old, I'll have to remind them as they get older that some people could pretend to be other people. Like this guy, 900,000 followers. Yeah, you bought them, guy. Okay, maybe something like that. And then kids, they don't understand. They think there's this allure with being like my kids like this called a YouTube star. I have to have these conversations with people. If somebody engages with you, it's no longer the man in the van, maybe with the puppies and the candy. I mean, yes, that still does exist, but it might be now the guy or the girl that has this massive social media following and is like, hey, we love your content, like we want to be friends. That's the new man in the white van. You know what I'm saying? And I think we have to protect those kids from that kind of stuff. Someone should be talking about that. Is there people that are talking about that? I don't know. I'm gonna have to look it up. Okay. Live with me. I can't even. Okay. Guess who's out of Broadway? Beanie of Funny Girl. Have we not talked about that? Listen, I talked about her a couple episodes, and I got to be honest with you. Quick recap. Funny Girl, first time on Broadway since Barbra Streisand did it in the 60s. Beanie Feldstein took the stage as the lead. Jane Lynch played, who coached me, by the way, in voiceover. Jane Lynch played the mother, Barbra Streisand's mother, Fanny Brice's mother. Funny Girl is based on the story of Fanny Brice, actress, comedian, singer out of Brooklyn. The best movie ever. Like, you got to see the movie. Barbra Streisand, Omar Sharif, but hits Broadway. I saw it first week for the previews. Of course, I've been waiting since 1964 for this. No, that's not when I was born. However, I'm a diehard fan. I went to the show. I bought all the merch. I bought snacks. I brought snacks. I was like throwing good and plenties at people. I was so excited. And then I saw the performance and I could, and then I did the podcast like the week after. And I was just like, what kind of woman, what kind of entertainer, performer, artiste would I be if I get on the mic and I start saying, oh, Beanie, what? She wasn't that great. I couldn't do that because maybe she had nerves. Maybe it wasn't her first rodeo, but maybe she had nerves. I don't know. I just felt like I couldn't speak openly about how subpar I thought her performance was. Who the hell am I to judge? Right? Come on. But my boyfriend, who's in the business, he's in every business, but he's in this business. He's mainly in this business. And he said to me, do not talk about that. Don't talk about that. You never know when you'll work with her. Her brother is Jonah Hill. You'll never know if you work with Jonah Hill. You never know if you'd be on Broadway. Do not talk about that, Elyse. It's not cool. And so I downplayed it. But then rumors started coming out that Beanie wasn't showing up for performances. And I was like, what am I going to do? I'm going to sit and be silent on the podcast with you, my girlfriends listening? Absolutely not. So I predicted that she would probably leave. And lo and behold, she's out. Julie Benko, understudy, stepping in. And guess who is replacing her? I can't tap myself on the shoulder enough. Did the little tap, tap. Leah Michelle. In September, Leah Michelle is taking over the role of Fanny Bryce in Funny Girl. I definitely will see it again. I know it's going to be fabulous. Leah Michelle, I love her. I've loved her on Glee. I love Jane Lynch on Glee. There were some rumors about her politically or something like this. I don't give a shit. I'm able to separate. I'm always able. I feel like I have the very Libra quality. The scales. I'm able to separate things. I don't want to say I don't care about your politics, right? Because I'm a human being. I read and all this stuff, but I can appreciate the art. And Lee, I don't know what even side she's on, but people are like, oh, she's so political. Oh, she's saying all these terrible things. I don't even know what she's saying. I literally don't. I don't read the news about Leah Michelle. I don't read TMZ and Perez Hilton. It's not like my thing. I read the newspaper. I just can't wait to see this doll play Fanny Bryce. She knows, like me, she knows every lyric of Barbra Streisand's song. She knows all the words to the movie. And when you have that passion to something, you're just inherently going to do good. That's just how it goes. So cannot wait. Speaking of politics, Ivana Trump died, obviously, sad. She was young. She was like, what was she? 73, 74. She fell down the stairs or something, or went into cardiac arrest before or after. I don't know if you know about this, but she lived on East 64th Street between 5th and Madison. That is like the Russian billionaire block of New York City. There is a guy, look it up, East 64th, type in Russian billionaire like an East 64th Street. There is a guy that lives on that block, Russian billionaire. I think he's part of, he's like a founder of an aluminum company. He bought a townhouse for $90 million. $90 million. I can't even count that high. But the thing is about Ivana Trump that I like is, again, and I don't know politics, nothing, but she comes from the New York era of glamour. Okay. And that is not around anymore. It's dead. Right now, I like to think that it's on hiatus. I like to think that right now, the Gen Z style is so hideous with sweatpants and logo t-shirts and logo trucker hats, whatever it is. Not my cup of tea. Little short dresses with chunky white, horrible sneakers. I like to think that the old school, old world glamour of beehives and jewels and gowns, I like to think that that's on hiatus. People think it's not coming back. Of course, pandemic and obviously styles evolve, but I don't know about that. I think glamour is glamour and it will come back. I love that kind of style. Ivana Trump, in my opinion, was so stylish. I loved the French twist swept up hair. I loved all the suits. The power suits, the jewelry, and Dennis Basso is a furrier. He's a celebrity furrier in Manhattan, and he has a store in the Fur District, and you probably seen his name around in Vogue and whatnot. Anyway, Ivana was known for wearing the chinchillas and this and that, and he draped her and all this, stuff. And yeah, PETA, whatever. But I'm not saying that real fur is right. Okay. But what I am saying is that she was so glamorous. Like every time you saw Ivana in the news, in the 80s, in the 90s, even now, you knew her look was not going to disappoint. You knew she had makeup on, the lips, the whole thing. And I love it. I love it. That is a part of New York that is not alive now. That kind of ladies who lunch, designing women, Zeltserberg, shoulder pads, a nice blazer, maybe cinched at the waist, a little toe cleavage. It's gone. It's going to come back. I'm convinced it's going to come back. And what was I going to say about that? She was really almost like a greed is good type of gal, which I don't agree with. But there was an opulence, right? There was an opulence to her, and I I love that. So sad, Ivana. Um, I hope that her style legacy lives on, and people will probably not be talking about that. We probably will not see some of spread in whatever magazine or newspaper devoted to her style because of Trump and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Ivana Trump, the bigger the better. What a character. I love that. Trying to buy new sheets. That's hilarious. My fancy friends are like, oh, you got to get Matuk. I'm like, okay. I go to Bloomingdale's, look at the sheets. Matuk sheets. When you're buying fancy sheets, they come like one sheet per package. The second you see one something per package, you already know it's going to be expensive. But listen, it's a sumptuous linen. It's very nice. It's just like, I don't have $1,500 to spend on new bedding. So I've opted for Cuddle Down, which is my go-to. They're cotton sateen. There's no polyester in it, but that's the sheet. I'm always looking for new sheets, and I see Yves Delorme, D Portho, which is on Park Avenue in the 60s. Gorgeous prints for sheets, just sumptuous bath towels. But again, these sheets at that store, oh my God, like $2,000. $3,000. I can't even. First of all, on a really terrible night, I like maybe could have the occasional snack in bed. Not like what you're thinking. Like I'm not eating full on brownie, but like maybe a cracker. And you take the bite of the cracker and you suck it out. So that there's not going to be any crummage. I don't know. So remember how we talked about the poor mom that was shot outside of the school in Manhattan. And her little 3-month-old baby, while she was pushing the stroller. I obviously can't get over that, but what else I can't get over is the fact that last weekend, my kids told me that Daddy told them about that story. And I was like, what? And my little one, Vivi, she's like, telling me, Daddy told me that there was a girl pushing her baby in a baby stroller and some man came over and shot her and she died. And Vivian looked at me and her eyes like welled up. Like she's very sensitive, my youngest daughter, and she eyes like welled up and she was like, oh my God, like I would be so sad if that happened to you, Mommy, but I guess we would still have Daddy. And I was like, yeah, of course. And God forbid. And here's the thing. What the hell are you doing, Paulie the Tooth, telling our children about a mother that was shot pushing her stroller? I don't know what in God's name this guy thinks that's okay. First of all, let me tell you something. Okay. I don't know what the right thing to do is. I'm genuinely asking you, what do you think the right thing to do is? What would you do? Have you told your kids about this horror show? Look, every morning I get the New York Post. The cover of the newspaper is completely triggering. My daughters, they open the door in the morning and they say all kinds of horror on the front of the newspaper. I'm trying to cancel the subscription. I don't know what the problem is. They're like not letting me cancel it. It's like the mob. Like I can't get out. And they know that there's bad in the world. They know that there's bad things that happen. They know that Mommy and Daddy shield them, but Mommy and Daddy protect them. They know that we protect them. They know they trust us, only stay with us, only listen to us, blah, blah, blah. But telling them about a crazy killer running around in the streets of the city that they live in, killing a mom in front of the tiny baby is completely it's like shell shock them. Like they can't handle that. Okay. And that's, I couldn't wrap my head around it. And most people, and this is where my co-parenting is shitty with my ex, because most people will say, well, you got to talk to your ex-husband. You got to make sure that you're on the same page about that kind of stuff. You can't talk to the kids about that kind of triggering stuff. These kids, they're going to be anxious they're going to be anxious and near medication at 10 years old. I can't handle that. But my co-parenting is not good with my ex when it comes to this stuff, because he doesn't want to take criticism on that. He believes that kids should know everything. You should tell them everything, and you could talk to them about it and we talk about it and we discuss and we talk about feelings and make the decisions. And I do agree with that kind of stuff. You have to talk to the kids about mostly everything. Like, when my daughter's friend is saying that her pronouns are they and them, and then later in dinner, they're like, what is they and them? I have to explain that. Well, some people make a choice if they're a boy or a girl. I have to explain that. Fine. But telling them about the shooting and the tragedy, that's scary. I grew up with my grandmother always just telling us the worst possible thing. I've joked about it on stage. I do bits about it on stage. I talk about it online sometimes. But my grandmother and my mom, it was like the worst. It was like they put the fear of God in us, Lock the doors, lock the doors. Like, you never know. Somebody will come. Oh my God. Oh my. Now, I know that this comes from a place of love. I know that this comes from a place of protection. I know this comes from because they were scared. They're scared. They've had experiences that scare them, but they pass that anxiety and fear on to me. And I grew up just freaking paranoid, just totally paranoid, always looking over my shoulder, always thinking somebody's out to get me, always thinking the worst, always double thinking, what does somebody do for a living? My father, he owned an import-export trucking company. I didn't even really know what he did my whole life, really. I mean, the name of the company changed a lot. The phone numbers changed a lot. I don't know if he was half a wise guy. I don't know what, you know what I'm saying? But I was always paranoid, I would be like, oh, Mom, I want to go down. I want to go to work with Daddy today, maybe in the summertime. I'm like, don't go. There's terrible people down there. It would be in Brooklyn. I would be in Red Hook when Red Hook was bad. It was like the anxiety. Do you know how exhausting it is to grow up like that as a child? I really have mental problems from it. I mean, I'm not kidding when I say that. We have to be so careful what we tell the kids. They're like little freaking sponges. And my ex-husband grew up in the rolling hills and valleys of beautiful birds singing, bread baking, United Kingdom, where there's a fairy princess that lives in a fucking castle. He has nothing to worry about. He had nothing for the most part, knock on wood. He had nothing to worry. Maybe his biggest fear was Mom buying him the sneakers that all of his kids had. All the kids in the class had something like that. But when I was growing up, I didn't grow up rough. I didn't grow up totally rough on the streets, whatever. But I had a neighbor in Staten Island, a father that one day just decided to shoot his whole family. I was, how old was I? 12 or 11. I mean, that's fucking scary. So again, and of course that ups the anxiety with the family, I'll never forget that, by the way. It was 12 years. I was 11, 12. It was a Sunday around 11:30. And my mom was getting me and my sister ready to go to church. And my father was on the roof fixing something on the roof. And we heard all these bang, 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 bang. We had no idea what it was. My father he got down from the roof really fast and came in the house. He was like, everybody stay in the house. There's a gun. There's someone shooting someone. My father had a ton of guns and he was a hunter. I don't know if that's connected to the import-export thing. Not me to draw any lines, but we didn't go to church that day. And it was obviously wound up being this mass murder on the block. And it was horrifying. And I was scared, and I just grew up scared like that, and I think as a parent, you have to really think for a second, before you tell your kids what's going on. I mean, obviously something like that, when they're seeing the news and all this stuff, they're obviously seeing that with a commotion, Anyway, you have to tell them. But the lady pushing the baby in the stroller, I mean, really? I mean, I can't, I said, he's like, well, what happens if their friends at school say something to them? Yes. Okay. You have a point then. If their friends at school say, Mommy, or Daddy, this terrible thing happened. And, little Samantha told me at school, can you tell me if that happened? Then yes, we have to address it. Right. But it shouldn't, I don't know what the right thing to do is. Is the conversation sometimes there's bad people in the world and they do bad things? I mean, I think that's always part of that conversation. I don't know. I just don't want my kids growing up like anxious, paranoid, half depressed, like their mother. And I'm totally functioning, thank you to medication. But you know what I'm saying. Anyway, I met a girl at a show months ago, like over a year ago. Lady, older girl. She was in her 50s and she was trying stand-up comedy in New York. She was in town. She always wanted to do it. And I said, and I didn't know that, and she went on stage and she spoke for like 5 minutes and she was really funny. So I told her, I said, oh my God, I said, listen, I was like, I think you're a funny girl. Like, and when I say really funny, I mean, like, not like polished comedy funny. Like she was, I don't know if she was like living room funny, kitchen table funny, but she was funny, like, or stage funny. I don't know. But so, I said, I think you should stay with us. I said, look, I've been doing this 6 years. That's not terribly long, but I think you should give it a try. This girl, she really took my opinion seriously. She stuck with it, and it was all the little confidence that she needed. And she wound up coming back to New York this past month, and she lived here for a month. And she just did stand up and shows, whatever she could get, open mics, whatever little things she could get on. And she wanted to say, she said, "Oh, thank you, like that I, helped her stay with it, and blah blah, encouraged her. Not helped her, encouraged her." And I said, this is like hard, but I said, if it's something you really want to do, you got to just put your mind to it and do it, And she was like, yeah. Then she calls me like a week ago and she's like, look, Elyse, she's like, I just want to be honest with you. I tried it. I gave it a go. Like, I don't really think I'm cut out. Like, I'm 54 years old. I don't think I'm cut out to like sit in shows with like 25-year-old kids and hear dick jokes and all this stuff. I don't think that's for me. Thanks for all your encouragement, but you know what? I'm going to go. So I said, I'm going to go back home. So I said to her, look, I was like, at the end of the day, that's your personal opinion. If you want to do that, it's a personal decision. If you want to do that, you have to do what's best for your life. I said, but if you really believe that this is something you should be doing, if this is something that you always had a little burning desire, if it's something you want to explore, I think you might have just had a bad set, which we all do. I think you might have just heard some stuff in a show that you didn't like, And she fought me like on it. I don't really care because it's her. I don't even know her. I don't even know her. She's like, oh no, it's not for me. All right, fine, go home. What the hell do I care? I was just trying to be a decent person. But then she came back to me like the next day, and she was like, look, okay, I'm actually going to stick with it. Thank you. And I here's the thing. I said, I understand what you're saying about wanting to try something, you try it, and then you see something horrible about the new stand-up comedy thing, and you want to be out. I said, I understand. But I said, but I'm a mom. I'm almost 40. I said, there, especially lately, especially as I get older, I'm getting older. There's more times than not that I want to be home with my family and my kids and, celebrate amazing things, just the daily kind of occurrences, whatever. And we do that. But I've had a calling. I told her, I said, I've had a calling to do stand-up comedy. I had a calling to get on stage and talk to people. And she was like, well, what do you mean? And the reason why I did that, and when I say just talk to people, I don't mean talk willy-nilly. I also had the calling to write. I've always been a writer, right? I've always been a writer forever. Like since high school, I was writing food columns. I was the high school poetry magazine editor. Like I was always doing tons of things, right? By the way, my first column in high school, my first published column was a food column, and it was called Tastes Like Butter. Just to let you know, I was the resident restaurant reviewer at my high school. But anyway, so I told her, I said, I had this calling. And when I had this calling, it was when I was married and I was really struggling. And it wasn't only just struggling in the marriage. I was, when I was an executive at a big, great company, and I was making 5 times the amount of money my husband was making. And I was supporting the family. and I was working 12 hours a day. And I had 2 children within 17 months planned, which resulted in 2 C-sections. And I was on overkill and my marriage was tanking. And I just thought I could do it all. I was like, I'm a power mom. I could do this, whatever. And I broke down and I had a real nervous breakdown because within a few short years, like it was like my father died. My mother had some like mini nervous breakdown, like when he died. And then she kind of had like another mini breakdown when I had my second daughter because I was like desperate for help. And she was just, I don't know, like checked out. I lost my job. My marriage fell apart. Like I had just so many giant taxing life events happen in a span of like 18 months, 2 years kind of thing. And I felt so alone. And I also felt alone. I told this girl, and I also felt alone when I was even just forget the mom and the dad stuff. I even felt alone when I was an executive at this company and I was pregnant and I felt like people were like staring at me and treating me different. And I had to deal with all this kind of like, almost discrimination stuff. And I can't really get into it for too many reasons, but like legal reasons, but I just felt so alone. And I also felt alone in the fact that I was out earning my husband by so much and my friends didn't have that experience. And I just felt like I wanted a friend, right? I wanted somebody that I could relate to. And then furthermore, when the pandemic happened and the world shut down and now, and then I'm divorced and I'm, and here I'm doing comedy and then there's no stages to go on. I was like, fuck that. I need to go on the internet. I need to, go on TikTok, internet, like as if I'm 1,000. I need to go on TikTok. I need to do a podcast. I need to talk to women because there are women out there that also feel alone and everybody needs a friend and everybody wants that friend that they could relate to because you want to know what? Life isn't like what people post about. Okay, people want to hear about what you bought in Costco. People want to hear about real stuff. People want to hear like, how did this person buy their apartment in Manhattan? How did they save money to do that? How did this girl become this big executive on Wall Street? How did she go to Harvard and won? People want to know that. And I'm just a regular girl, just like you. We all grew up in this. My family didn't come from tons of money. I didn't grow up like Meadow Soprano, mafia father like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I just felt alone and I wanted women to feel less alone. And I felt like I had a calling to talk to other women. Okay. And and some days I still don't even know what I'm going to talk about or what I'm doing. But I thought that if we could come together, talk about common, similar issues, make each other laugh, right? If I could make you laugh and make you just get away from you on, you'll come to my show. If I can make you laugh for just a few moments, and you could take yourself out of your own head. How amazing is that? Because you know what? That's what I wanted. And that's why I do this. And I told her that. And I think that that's what made her stick to it, or whatever. But that's my reason for doing stand-up. That's my reason for being in entertainment. I don't give a shit about Instagram models and girls looking all sexy. I don't give a shit. I do whatever I want to do. I say whatever I want to say. I feel like I have a purpose in this thing. Right. And I said that, and that's why I do it. So I said, you have to think, is this a hobby? Is this something you want to really go after? Is there a reason? Were you always just a funny girl in class? Do you just want to try? Because I tried all hobbies. I mean, I'm a hobby queen. I took upholstery class and watercolor painting and oil painting and interior design and architecture, like all throughout living in Manhattan, because why not? These classes were accessible. And this could be just, I said to her, just another sort of class or whatever she takes, thing she explores, right? But I don't know. If she winds up being a fabulously wonderful, famous comedian, I guess I could take credit in her come up. But it's I think that my message is just telling you obviously about this girl and how I saw her and I was like, oh, you should stick with it. And I think that building each other up like in that real way is so important, And I think we should all continue to do that. Again, I'm not preaching to you. I know you people do that. You guys reach out to me all the time and you say, oh my God, I like that episode, or this, or that. But I just think that we need more of that, Anyway, that's that. So, okay. Product of the week. I love crafts. I've said this a million times. I have not tried this yet. So this is like a huge disclaimer. I read online in like the deep bowels of a thread, all these women talking about this amazing craft glue. And I was like, oh, it's probably hot glue. It's probably Gorilla Glue, like something like that. And it's not. I have it here. It's called E6000 glue. E6000. I ordered it on Amazon like a week ago. It still didn't come. But apparently it's the ultimate of ultimate glues. So that's my product of the week this week. The other thing that a product, and it's not so much a product, wallshop.com. You know, I've said I've been looking for wallpaper for my kitchen. I'm having trouble committing. I know I really want like permanent wallpaper. I don't want to do removable, but shop with an E, SHOPPE, wallshop.com has like a ton of really cool wallpapers, like more modern wallpapers than like the Cole & Sons and all those kind of brands. And they have like so many amazing removable wallpapers. So I just got some samples of wallpaper from them. You know, I don't know what it was, like $1 or $4, whatever, something for a small sample, 8x10. And by the way, can you make the sample bigger? Because who the hell could tell what this looks like on the wall when it's this size of a loose leaf paper? But anyway, I got 4 different colorways of floral paper that Sarah Jessica Parker it has her name on, and it's really like cool. It's just like a modern flower print. But anyway, just wanted to put that out there. I know I'm doing wallpaper. You might you might not be doing the wallpaper, but I just had to put that out there. And my quote of the day for this week is no pressure, no diamonds. I don't know who said that, but I love the quote. Without pressure, diamonds aren't made. I'm not going around saying you need to live in a pressure vacuum or I want to do that, but just saying that sometimes when you have pressure or in life, when you go through things like what I just was telling you before, beautiful things come out of it. That's all I got today. Episode 108. I'm Elyse DeLucci. Do me a favor. Have some of your friends leave me a review on Apple Podcasts or something. I love talking to you. I can't wait to talk to you next week. Love to love you, baby.